Yes, you do. Isn't it in there? We had a folder down there for you. I asked him.
I'm going to call to order the City Council caucus for April 14th, 2014. We have two public hearings. If the clerk would read those.
Public hearing number 1 regarding amending Chapter 6 related to the Affirmative Action Advisory Board membership and role description. Public hearing number 2 regarding the name change of a section of Norwood Avenue to Maietta Way.
All right, and then we go into original consideration. Item number 1.
Item number 1 for original consideration, a resolution calling for a public hearing regarding the proposed 2014 Consolidated Plan.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 2.
Item number 2, a resolution calling for a public hearing regarding a moratorium on convenience stores.
Also discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 3.
Item number 3, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into an easement agreement with Vale Cemetery.
Again, without objection on consent. Item number 4.
Item number 4, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Mohawk Ambulance regarding ALS billing.
Again, discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 5.
Item number 5, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari brought by Dozer Blaze.
Discussed in Claims Committee without objection on consent. Item number 6.
Item number 6, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari brought by Robert and Christina Eisenbrown.
Also discussed in Claims without objection on consent. Item number 7.
Item number 7, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a tax certiorari brought by Joan Evans.
Discussed in Claims without objection on consent. Item number 8.
Item number 8, a resolution authorizing the City of Schenectady to settle a claim by John Fallerino.
Also discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 9.
Item number 9, a resolution authorizing the City of Schenectady to settle a claim by Jessica Zindars.
Also discussed in Claims without objection on consent. Item number 10.
Item number 10, a resolution authorizing the City of Schenectady to settle a claim by Dennis Jeffers.
Again, discussed in Claims without objection on consent. Item number 11.
Item number 11, a resolution authorizing the settlement of a claim brought by Gary Denise.
Also discussed in Claims without objection on consent. Item number 12.
Item number 12, a resolution authorizing the City of Schenectady to settle a claim by Wesley Holloway.
Discussed in Claims without objection on consent.
Item number 13, a resolution recognizing April 25th as Arbor Day.
This will be taken out of order. Mr. Riggi will present this. Number 14.
Item number 14, a resolution honoring Phil Ruggiero of Nico's Pizzeria.
This will also be taken out of order, presented by Ms. Perazzo. Item number 15.
Item number 15, a resolution recognizing April as Autism Awareness Month in the City of Schenectady.
Also taken out of order and be presented by Mr. Erickson. Number 16.
Number 16, under Contract and Supply, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a contract for golf course materials.
Okay, also discussed in Health and Rec without objection on consent. And then item number 17.
Item number 17, a resolution authorizing the transfer of title of parcels of real property.
Discussed in Claims Committee tonight without objection on consent. And if there's nothing else to come before the City Council caucus, I will declare this meeting closed and call to order the City Council meeting for April 14th, 2014. I ask you to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, or excuse me, the invocation by Reverend Arthur Butler.
As we look to the hills, which comes our help, we ask tonight for power, strength, and guidance. Bless the council members, bless its leadership, bless our mayor, bless our city. We ask these things as you continue to guide us, lead us in truth, lead us in honesty, lead us as you always have. In the mighty name of those who came before us, whose shoulders we stand on, and for you who give us all, we say thank you. Amen.
I'm going to ask Phil Ruggiero to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Phil, you can do it right from where you are.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, if the clerk would call the roll.
Ms. Barrazo? Ms. Porterfield? Mr. Erickson? Mr. Mutaverin? Mr. Riggi? Mr. Kosher is absent. Ms. King?
Present. And we should note Mr. Kosher is not here because his daughter just got married, and so he's out of town for the wedding. Before we go to our out-of-order resolutions, I would like us to give a rousing round of applause for the Union College hockey team. They really made it a wonderful weekend. We will be recognizing them at a future council meeting, and I know the mayor's been very involved with planning a parade, which I believe is going to be probably late tomorrow afternoon, and the details should be coming out soon, or Thursday afternoon, excuse me. Thursday afternoon, yes. But details should be coming out, specific details tomorrow, so we'll have plenty of opportunity to give recognition to these wonderful young people. All right, first out-of-order resolution, recognizing Arbor Day. Mr. Riggi.
All those representing Retree, Madam President.
You have the floor.
Thank you. It's a resolution recognizing April 25th as Arbor Day. Whereas trees have been proven to be a valuable component of our environment by providing us with natural aesthetics for landscaping, a biological tool to control water and wind erosion, a renewable source of food, fuel, and lumber for man, a habitat for birds and wildlife, and a nature producer of oxygen and water. And whereas the original Arbor Day was observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees, and whereas Arbor Day has been designated by many states as a time to recognize the importance of trees to our environment, and whereas Arbor Day is now celebrated throughout the United States and in many countries around the world, and whereas the last Friday in April is commonly held to be the day to celebrate Arbor Day. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Schenectady hereby recognizes April 25th, 2014 as Arbor Day and asks that citizens, individually and collectively, engage in the celebration of Arbor Day by planting trees as a source of future enjoyment and civic pride. Madam President, I move this resolution.
All right, is there a second? Okay, Ms. Porterfield, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Correct, thank you.
I just want to say, when I first got involved in coming to city council meetings, it was over some issues in a park across from my house with some trees that disappeared. That's when I first got to know Betsy and Mike and I, we planted trees along the Campbell Avenue side of Hillhurst Park, so every time I go by, there's 8 or 9 trees right in a row there, and I think of that, and that's almost 20 years ago. But they plant a lot of trees, do a great job. This is a great asset to the city of Schenectady, without question. And I can't say enough, but now I'm going to let you say something.
Okay, yes, Vince and I, probably about 25 years ago, I think it was, believe it or not, and planting trees. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone, thank the council, thank you, Vince, thank you, Mayor, and your administration and staff for your support over the years. And also to Joe Vitale, who is on the tree crew and has been very valuable to us. I thank you for your support. I don't know if everybody knows, but the city gives us a little seed money each year, and we take that and we use it to obtain different grants. Usually you have to have matching money for grants. So in order to continue to keep going, we planted approximately 2,000 to 3,000 trees over the years. But we're at a point now where a lot of the trees in the city, the old silver maples, were all planted about the same time, and they're all coming down. So the count that I got at the last meeting was for calendar year 2013, we took down 283 silver maple trees. We're probably at a faster clip from what I understand right now. They're coming down, they're old, they're a softer wood and they're a liability issue. And where trees should be in a city has also changed a little bit, the type of trees and where they're planted. But there's still a lot of places for trees. So we've got to have a big push going forward, because if we don't, it's going to change our streetscapes and change the way the city looks. And we want to keep our city livable and have a nice tree-lined streets where it's possible to do that. With that being said, also like to just say that we're an organization, a nonprofit, 501c3. We've been in existence for about 20 years. Always looking for everybody out there and viewing today. Always looking for volunteers. Anybody who has organizational skills and would like to help out with, organizing groups. We usually plant trees 2 or 3 times a year. We have other different events that we have to put together. So anybody who wants to help, anybody who also would like to just plant trees, get a shovel, help us plant some trees when we do our plantings 2 or 3 times a year. We could use a little injection of some young blood and some new blood and to get in and give us a hand, because we got a lot of effort to do, a lot more to do, especially at the rate the trees are coming down. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for passing this resolution, which allows us to continue to be a Tree City USA, which is part of the Arbor Day Foundation program. And I think that's very important to our city and to all our residents. It's important to us. I just want to pass this down so everybody can just introduce themselves and give their names. These people help out in our Bellevue area and also in our Mount Pleasant area. And I think I've said more than I should. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jackie Hurd, and I just wanted to add one more thing to what Mike said, is that in addition to all the thank yous, the city and the city workers and Joe, we don't want to forget all the volunteers that actually come out and help people in all the different neighborhoods. So just want to thank them, and make sure you come out again, guys. We're going to do another planting.
Yes, my name's Donna Foley, and I'm with the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association, and we'll be planting some trees around the Schenectady Little League next month.
Pat Smith, I'm Vice President of the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association, and we really are looking forward for the trees. It's going to help improve the area.
I'm John Horton. I'm from Mount Pleasant, and we go along with planting the trees every year. I hope we keep on doing it, and it doesn't stop at all.
And depending on the weather, we usually plant on the last Saturday. Our spring planting is usually the last Saturday in April, but depending on whether we get snow tomorrow or not, it may be pushed out till May 3rd, Saturday, May 3rd. But if anybody wants to come out, as Donna just said, we'll be planting some trees over in the Mount Pleasant area. So the more hands, the better. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. All right, the second out of order resolution is recognizing Phil Ruggiero of Nico's Pizzeria. Ms. Perazzo.
Madam President,
You have the floor.
thank you. This is a resolution honoring Philip Ruggiero of Nico's Pizzeria. Whereas Nico's Pizzeria and Rooftop Tavern prides itself on offering great food at great prices, and through their excellent service and hospitality, the staff strive to make everyone feel welcome and comfortable. And whereas Philip Ruggiero, the owner of Nico's, prior to completing his education at SUNY Albany with a degree in mathematics and physics, started his career as a student and bartender who, when jobs were scarce, was encouraged to buy and operate Nico's Pizzeria, and now more than 17 years later, still enjoying the work, employees, and customers, Mr. Ruggiero repeatedly commits himself to his business, his customers, and the city of Schenectady. And whereas Philip, having seen Schenectady change and grow over the years and believing that he and Nico's have become a bigger part of the community, has recently expanded the pizzeria by building 2 additional floors, adding a 42-foot bar, and adding a rooftop patio, all of which have been a huge success. And whereas Philip, being forever thankful for his customer and community support received by Nico's, in addition to investing in our downtown, has been providing support to the community through personal activities such as, for approximately the past 11 years, working with the youth from Schenectady County Center for Juvenile Justice by participating in community cleanups, teaching the use of hand tools, and instructing the art of landscaping. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Schenectady recognizes, commends, and thanks Phil Ruggiero for his excellent contributions to the City of Schenectady and wishes him continued success in the future. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Mr. Mudavaren, all in favor?
Aye. And I just want to expand on this a little bit in the fact that when we started Give Graffiti the Brush last year, I called Phil and said, would you be willing to donate pizza to our hungry youth that work very hard to, paint over the graffiti in the city? And he couldn't say yes fast enough. So that's part of his recognition. And while we were at it, in recognizing Phil, other people stepped up to the plate and said, wait, include us too, because we want to tell him how special he is to our community as well. So before we pass the mic to Phil, I'm going to pass the mic over to Mr. Zampella.
Thank you. I've known Phil for about 17 years, and myself and Timmy, we wanted some kind of restitution for the juveniles for accountability. And about 11 and a half, 12 years ago, I went to Phil, asked if he would help us. And once a month on a Saturday, he would step up to the plate, come over, help us cut the trees down, landscape. He has mentored the young students how to use hand tools, and it's been a great relationship.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Lisa, her fellow city council members, Mayor McCarthy, and the city of Schenectady, and allow us to acknowledge Phil. On behalf of the Schenectady County Center for Juvenile Justice and the Schenectady Municipal Housing Authority, we would like to acknowledge you for your longstanding commitment in supporting our youth and giving back to their community. You've been a positive partner and a great community mentor. So we'd like to present you with this plaque. Thank you.
Rich Hominick here representing the Housing Authority. The Housing Authority has been the beneficiary of Mr. Ruggiero's goodwill for a number of years, and our youth programs are very important to us. They've done tremendous good on our properties and set a fine example of how to conduct behavior, and the business partnership with the public effort is a wonderful thing to have, and look forward to hopefully many more projects to come. So thank you.
I just want to thank you very much. It was very unexpected. This means a lot to me. I'm very fortunate to be a part of the community, and I've been here 17 years and hope to be here for a lot longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and the third out-of-order resolution is declaring April Autism Awareness Month. I'll call on Mr. Erickson.
Madam President.
Okay, you have the floor.
Resolution recognizing April as Autism Awareness Month in the City of Schenectady. Whereas autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder that results in difficulties with communication and social interaction, as well as repetitive behaviors, and whereas, according to a report published by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as of 2008, autism affects an estimated 1 in every 88 children in the United States. Whereas autism is a major public health crisis that is taking an enormous toll on millions of families who need answers that could come only through further research. And whereas autism can affect anyone regardless of race, ethnicity, or gender, and whereas individuals living with autism are highly valued and deserve the highest level of dignity and acceptance by society. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Schenectady recognizes and commends both individuals living with autism and the parents and relatives of those individuals that sacrifice and dedication in providing for the special needs of individuals with autism, and declare April 2014 to be Autism Awareness Month in the City of Schenectady, in order to increase public awareness of the need to support individuals with autism and the family members and medical professionals who care for them. I move we accept this resolution.
Seconded by Ms. Perazzo. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Just want to say thank you very much. I am a parent of a young adult who's 26 who lives in Schenectady, and our Autism Society makes our home in Schenectady, and it's absolutely wonderful to know that we are welcomed here and that we are a part of a community that is warm and really thoughtful in terms of serving our loved ones with autism. It means a great deal to us. We have some news that we have to update. You made a reference to 1 in 88 children. It is now, unfortunately, 1 in 68 children. Wow. There was a 30% increase in the prevalence of autism, which is, of course, concerning to us, and that means that people with autism will be living in our communities, both young and those who are adults and those who are going to be aging. So in every planning that we do, from residential to community integration to faith-based communities, we have to really think about incorporating our citizens with autism. The fact that we're here tonight indicates that Schenectady is a good home for those of us who have loved ones with autism, and just absolutely appreciative of your efforts and your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay. Would you introduce yourselves?
I'm president of the board of the Autism Society of the Capital District, and again, thank you very much because it helps get the word out to the public what is going on with people on the autism spectrum. So again, I thank the council very much.
Hi, so as Janine mentioned, autism affects 1 in 68 people in this country, and that's more than AIDS, diabetes, and cancer combined. My name is Sarah Mae Hickey. I'm the president and founder of the Autism Initiative. It's a small nonprofit based out of the Capital Region. And I'm also the proud owner of Puzzles Bakery and Cafe, which is a cafe that will be opening here in downtown Schenectady, right on State Street this summer. And it's part of our mission to employ adults and individuals with autism spectrum disorder as well as other developmental disabilities. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for lighting it up blue this month and supporting autism awareness. And as Janine mentioned, they're not just children with autism. It's a lot of adults who are aging out of this education system and living in our communities for a very long time. Autism is a lifelong disability, so that's very important to remember when it comes to housing in our communities and employment. So I just want to thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have 2 public hearings. The first one is regarding amending Chapter 6 related to the Affirmative Action Advisory Board membership and role description. I have 5 people signed up to speak to this. The first is Jason Plank.
Madam President, City Council, Mayor, on the Affirmative Action Board, when we heard that the disabled was taken out as a recommendation by the American Jewski's, the affirmative action, I want to applaud Marion Porterfield of saying no, that the disabled need to be representative on that board, and I appreciated her help on that issue. The disabled has been represented in the state of New York since 1974. Through the state Human Rights Commission passage in the laws under both 292 and under 296 of the Human Rights Law. Also, too, is the Affirmative Action Board would have abilities across the board of dealing with housing, voting, employment, and other issues of gaining access to public buildings and public services and activities. What I hope is that this board will concentrate first is on jobs. We've got to be able to do with jobs. We just had a report done by the Gazette saying that we ranked number 42 in affordable housing. So that means there's only 20 other counties that were worse than we are. And out of the capital district, we were the worst. And according to affordable housing for apartment rentals, we were ranked 46. So we've got a long ways to go, but the only way that we're going to be able to make somebody eligible to become a homeowner or a very good tenant is to be able to do for jobs. They've got to have good quality jobs and be able to have access to it. Also, there was, she put in on a representative from the governmental agencies like the labor unions and so forth. That's a total conflict of interest. Currently, right now, the Taylor Law violates human rights law, both the state and the federal, and also violates civil rights laws. And it's in contract because they use contract law to override civil rights law. And we need to be able to work with the affirmative action, needs not to be hamstringed. We need to be able to diversify our workforce. So those are just some of the things that when we're looking at the Affirmative Action Board, I'm hoping that that they will be able to have the autonomous to be able to work across the board. Another comment came back is that people on the board need to have human resource management skills. They don't need to have human resource management skills. I mean, most of the individuals, they already know what it is to be discriminated against. And we know what needs to be done. We just need to have some common sense approach. So I'm hoping that we can be able to move forward, and I'm hoping that some of the people would step up. I know Miriam said she had 11 people, and that's good. So I'm just hoping that we can move forward in a positive direction. Thanks.
Thank you. Jennifer Garvin.
Hi. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Why is the board important? We determine the importance of a thing based on the value it brings or the value we placed on it based on our beliefs. The Affirmative Action Board is no different. It brings intrinsic value to a community as it strives to help foster a community of opportunity for all by monitoring, hiring, promotion, and contracting practices of established and other organizations. Now, in determining the importance of something, we may want to weigh the pros and cons. I am sure that there are valid points on each side. The decision, then, to bring the board back is not a perfect decision. No decision is perfect in the sense that it can guarantee a 100% success rate in attainment of an objective. But we must choose the best course of action that has the highest chance of success for all people, and this board can ensure that by monitoring those opportunities that organizations are providing. I've been living here for about 6 years now. I had moved up here from Westchester County. I'm about to obtain my second master's degree. I have an MPH, and I'm obtaining a MS also in bioethics. I have extensive work experience with regards to healthcare. The bulk of the experience has been insurance companies, hospitals, well known within the city of New York and within the counties. My personal experience actually after moving up here was really unbelievable with regards to employment itself. Based on the education that I had, based on the experience, most of it came from with national insurance companies, not necessarily the local plans in the area. So I'm stating that if I could have had difficulty with regards to that, whereas I was almost at the point of going back because I had administrators or presidents of organizations or CEO because of the bulk of the experience stating, come back, you can come here. So I'm hoping that this board will be able to be formed again so that they could really look at what's going on here and what opportunities are really out there and available to the people and to all people.
Thank you very much. Raymond Murrell.
Hello, my name is Raymond Morrow.
I'm here to speak to you about the Affirmative Action Advisory Board and why its significance is so important to this city and to the state and other local municipalities. The Affirmative Action Board will be very helpful in helping us determine our hiring policies, employment, working on promotions, making sure that people are represented and have the opportunities that they need. Also for addressing complaints and purchasing issues as far as trying to get different contracting for the city of Schenectady as well. We also need to take advantage of any statewide or federal government programs that are available and are indicative or that specialize in the affirmative action arena. I would like to point out that a lot of low-income families are minorities, and they can use some kind of advocate in the community to help them find jobs and find employment. It's so important for all of us to work towards increasing the economic status of minorities. As you know, the President of the United States is advocating that we increase our income for minorities and also to level the playing field for women as far as allowing them to also have the same base pay as men. So we all understand that there is a lot of work to do. There's a lot of inequality in our society, and I'm sure we can all work towards that here in the city of Schenectady, but also in the communities to show how it can be economically in benefit for not only the city, but also for all the states, for all the private businesses in the city of Schenectady. My background is I'm from Indiana. I've been living here in Schenectady for over five years now. I'm a very proud resident, and I would like to see this board activated and support the city in any capacity. I have a bachelor's in information systems. I have a master's in project management and also an MBA. I also have worked at the city level, a lot of private industries, and I'm sure that any effort that I could bring to the board would be beneficial.
Thank you very much. Reverend Phil Grigsby.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Council. I'm Reverend Phil Grigsby, Director of the Schenectady Interstate Ministry and also a city resident. I really wasn't planning on coming tonight, but I was working on my income taxes and said, no, I don't want to do that anymore, so this is much more important, so get back to that a little later. I want to strongly support this emphasis of putting this board into place. As one who's been here for a while, I recall this coming up in some prior administrations, but perhaps that wasn't the right time, so now is the right time for this kind of board to proceed. I'm reminded that it's similar to my experience. I was asked a couple years ago to be on the school board superintendent's committee, Superintendent's Equity and Excellence Committee. And we've been working at that for a couple of years now, and we produced most recently the Racial Justice Report Card. And when we began that process, we began all with our emotions and with our anecdotes and with our individual feelings and opinions about this issue. But what we developed, and what I hope this board would develop into, is working into a data-driven approach to really utilize the data that's out there and to, I hope, be the board being provided with necessary resource to fulfill its mission. That's always a hard time now in government, as we know. But it does need resources to get to the data, because once you get the data, then you can move beyond it and to say, what are the outcomes we need to work on? What are the policies we need to change? And that's the other concern, is really to focus on the policies, because so much of this kind of stuff gets talked about in terms of personal terms. So-and-so did this or didn't do that or whatever. It becomes very personalized. That's not the issue of this board. This board really should focus on policy. What are the policies we can look at? Very glad to see an annual assessment. Very glad to see the possibility of public hearings. Let's look at some of the policies that can be changed, utilizing a data-driven approach to hopefully get to some different outcomes that we've been seeing. And it's not because anybody is particularly at fault. It's just that these issues are difficult. And it's not that our efforts are tried and found wanting. they're tried and found difficult. And so I'm very glad to see this because it is a very positive step to move ahead on this very important agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellie Pepper.
Good evening. I'm Ellie Pepper. I'm a resident of the Eastern Avenue Neighborhood Association, and I am in support of the Affirmative Action Advisory Board. I saw an article in the Schenectady Gazette about it, which noted that the board had not been active in a number of years and that only 3 residents had applied to be considered as a result of requests for applications. I was surprised that more residents hadn't applied to be considered for membership, having read an article in February which outlined the affirmative action ordinance and the fact that the board had been inactive for many years. I'm here to express support for continuing the Affirmative Action Advisory Board and to keep the structure as designed in the ordinance. As many of you know, I spent nearly 6 years as the assistant director at BNI, Better Neighborhoods. During that time, I saw how difficult it can be to engage minority and women-owned businesses in the bidding process for publicly funded housing projects. The executive director and construction staff often spent hours with contractors whose bids were not accepted, explaining how they could better craft their bid, what certifications they were missing, and advising them on resources available to assist with the bidding process. Recruiting qualified candidates requires time and effort. Monitoring groups that utilize public funds for large-scale projects requires time and effort. Reviewing policies at the municipal level requires time and effort. I commend Ms. Cajuste on her efforts to date, but clearly she should not be expected to handle this on her own. In spite of her work, the most recent affirmative action report from the City of Schenectady indicates that there are fewer minorities working for the city than there were in 2010. There just aren't enough hours in the day, and an advisory board could do a lot to provide her assistance. The advisory board composition must remain as outlined by the ordinance passed in 1986. It makes sense to have representatives from the very groups we are trying to recruit who better to advise and monitor affirmative action policy. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have no one else signed up to speak on public hearing number 1, so I'm going to declare that public hearing closed. We'll go to public hearing number 2 regarding the name change of a section of Norwood Avenue to Maietta Way. I have 2 people signed up. Tony Bonhomme.
Tony Bonhomme, Bellevue. I spoke to a lot of former players of Mike, and they are thrilled about this. In fact, one of the ball players that played for me at Schenectady today, I ran into him, and he was really happy about it. I played the first 2 years for Mike's team in the regular league, and 1 year as an all-star team. I managed against Mike and used the baseball knowledge he taught me and tried to beat his teams. In this morning's paper, Mr. McCarthy quoted that the Union hockey win was the positives recognition brought to the city is on par with the 1954 World Series victory by the Little League of Schenectady. True. Now, I just want to go down. I have a scrapbook here that was my father's. He was one of the coaches that I got some information out of. This is what the city did for the Little League, and it's all because of Mike, what he did. They were met at the city line. They came up from Williamsport by bus. I was 2 cars behind the bus with a friend of my father's. And the city assistant city manager brought them through Bellevue down to the Hotel Van Curler, which is now the Schenectady Community College. At the Van Curler Hotel, they were met by a brass band and were escorted to the city hall by a fire truck. J Street was closed, and people were standing out in front here, shoulder to shoulder. There's a photo in here that'll show it. It was said by Mike's players that he was way ahead of his time, his former players. And one of them made the major leagues, played in the World Series for the Dodgers. And when he played in rookie ball, he says, everything they taught me in rookie ball, he says, I didn't have the nerve to tell them that. I learned that at 12 years old from Mike. And this young man threw out the first ball, this Jimmy Barberi threw out the first ball in the 1954 Major League World Series, which usually was for presidents, high dignitaries. They only used to throw out one ball at that time, not like it is now. And he appeared on the Perry Como show, too. So, I mean, all this is because of Mike, what he did. Each of the ball players received a letter from at their home sent by Governor Thomas E. Dewey and thanked them for the 10 wins that they had going from Schenectady down to Williamsport. And at that time, there was single elimination. You didn't have to lose a ball game and you played another one. You lost one ball game, you were out. And out of the 8 teams down in Williamsport, they had a total record before they got to Williamsport of 66-0. So they all had to win to get there. And also in this book here is a resolution from the 1954 City Council. So believe me, I am in favor of this. What Little League is what Mike was to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the information, too. Sharon Lynn Schmidt.
Good evening, Mayor McCarthy, President King, City Council. We in Mount Pleasant are very excited about the honorary changing of the Norwood Avenue to Maietta Way. We want to support Mr. Riggi in any way that we can. We would love to see the area beautified by improving the fence either with repairs or new fencing. We would like to see some old dead trees taken down that are going to probably fall on somebody before long, and then replace them with some lovely trees. And my calculator's not working here, and I don't want to get favors.
Thank you.
I was asked by a couple of residents to express their concern about changing the name of Norwood to Maietta Way, and they had an alternative suggestion of having Maietta Way underneath the Norwood Avenue sign or a separate plaque in honor of Maietta, just to try to prevent some confusion by visitors to the area. That is their opinion. I was asked to relay it. But beside that, we are just thrilled that there will be a August 27th ceremony, and we are pledging to do whatever we can, whatever Mr. Riggi needs. If we can prepare flyers or posters, or if we can prepare food, I don't know what you're planning, but we are there to help you. This is a very important recognition, and we don't often in Mount Pleasant get such an honorary situation going on. So we're pleased to get behind you. Let us know what we can do, and we say hip, hip, hooray, and thank you very much for all of your efforts. You are to be commended, Mr. Riggi.
Thank you. Okay. We have, I guess, a couple of additions to this. Jeremy Howard.
Good evening, Mayor, Madam President, City Council, Mr. Thorne, Mr. Polster. My name is Jeremy Howard, senior, lifelong resident of the City of Schenectady. I am a proud father to my children, Javier, Samantha, Jeremy Jr., and a devoted husband to my wife, Tanya. I'm also the former president, manager, and minor and majors all-star manager of Schenectady Little League. Growing up in the city, I was extremely involved in youth sports, mainly due to one of my heroes, my father, Niall Howard. As a father and a coach, he made sure that I respected the importance of academics and athletics and how it would affect my future. There were a handful of gentlemen as I grew who would also affect my future. One gentleman at the top of that list who affected me and the way I approach our youth of this community was Mike Maietta. I was one of the fortunate players who had the opportunity to play for one of the greatest Little League baseball coaches in Schenectady history. Back then, Mr. Maietta handpicked all of his all-star players, and he was extremely selective. When Mr. Maietta called you to play, it was an honor, and you knew where you were going to be put in position to succeed. When you played for him, you knew exactly where you stood. He was a no-nonsense kind of coach that would kick you in the tail when you made a mistake and pick you right back up afterward. He loved us as one of his own. I did understand his importance when I was young, but never really appreciated the value of his teaching until I too became involved in the Little League. To be a coach takes a very special person. You must have dedication, enthusiasm, passion, and knowledge so that you can pass along so you can pass that along to future generations. Mr. Maietta had this and then some, and I think that naming the portion of Norwood Ave adjacent to Schenectady Little League will be the least that we could do to recognize the man who gave his time and his energy to the youth of this fine city. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe there's one more person who gave Mr. Riggi a note, but I didn't see who it was. Oh, Flora Romanowski.
This is to you, Mr. Riggi. Thank you for bringing to the public's attention the long, dedicated work in regards to the Little League by Mike Maietta, and also Tony Bonone. Although I drive by the field all the time, and plus both my grandchildren played there at that field, I really wasn't aware of the whole history, and thank you so much. And I feel that it's important to acknowledge those who are exceptional and contribute to their communities. In this case, by giving hundreds of children the chance to play Little League, it helped groom these children for the future by teaching them team play, sportsmanship, how to share, and having the opportunity for physical activity, making friends, and bringing neighborhood families together. Nothing pleased me more than to just sit amongst the crowd and watch my grandchildren play. And also, both my boys played Little League. And I remember running home from work, driving home from work, and going to the field, presenting them with the metal baseball bats. I think they were just coming out. They just beamed, and they both got hits that day. And to this day, they still remind me of that, so it was such a special moment to them. And one last thing, I think it's very important that little girls get this opportunity, because if they are good enough, they also can get quality scholarships. And I'd like to say one more thing. My little granddaughter switched over to softball, and Tom Isabella was her coach, and he was just wonderful. Gave them a lot of opportunities. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right, I have no one else signed up. I'm going to declare this public hearing closed. We'll move to the approval of the minutes from March 24th, 1914. Okay, Mr. Riggi, second. Okay, Mr. Mudavaren, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Communications and petitions.
Communications presented to the City Council for Monday, April 14th, 2014. Under official from the mayor, a list of appointments dated April 14th, 2014. A letter from Chris Wallen, city engineer, recommending the fertilizer and pesticides for the Schenectady Municipal Golf Course 2014 season be awarded as listed on the resolution. Under general, there is a letter from Mr. Morton Miller with the Schenectady County Council of Veterans Organization, extending their gratitude to the city of Schenectady for the recent rental check. Also, a letter from Secretary Jim Wilson with the American Legion Post 1002, extending their gratitude to the city of Schenectady for the recent rental check. Under petitions, there are none.
Okay, thank you. Committee reports. Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about the public hearing that we just had with the Affirmative Action Advisory Board, and I just needed the clarification in the legislation that actually is printed today. It went back and forth, so I just want to clarify under D for the composition of the board. Our last, the last thing that we voted on was that it would be 7 to 9 members of the board, and 1 to 2 minorities, 1 to 2 women, 1 member disabled, and then 1 veteran, and then 2 additional members. So I just want people to be clear on that, and that was just an error because how many times the legislation went back and forth, so the wrong one got put in here. In addition to that, I know that there had been some concerns about the number of people that would apply, and I have to tell you that at this point we've gotten 19 resumes. So, you know, we were concerned that maybe there wouldn't be enough people, but now we have 19, so now it becomes the challenge of choosing those folks that would sit on the board. So I want to say I appreciate everyone who expressed an interest. We get some really outstanding resumes from people throughout the city, in a very, very diverse group of people. So I'm really excited as we move forward to putting this together. And I want to say thank you to the folks that reached out to other people to make sure that resumes got submitted. And I have to also say that the The article in the Gazette was extremely helpful because once the article went out, there were more people that were reaching out and sending in their resumes. So I'm excited as we look forward, and I just want to make that clarification. We're not voting on it tonight, but we are. This was just a public hearing, and so those things that were spoken about by the people that came to the rail will be taken into consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other committee reports? Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to take note of item number 16 on the agenda regarding the golf course materials. This has been awarded to 3 different vendors. I don't know if it's working or not. Being awarded to 3 different vendors on this, and there was, I think, about 40 different line items, so it was quite a bit of work that went into this bid, and I wanted to commend Chris Wallen and the team in the engineering department, who I think did a lot of legwork on this. And so they participated in the online bidding, got the word out, so they had a bunch of companies that participated. It was filtered down to about 4 or actually 5 different vendors that met all the qualifications that were required, and then they chose 3, and I believe there are 3 companies that we've not done business in the past, so they were competitive bids, lower bids, and resulted in some savings. So I just wanted again to say thanks to those guys for doing all that work. There's a lot of legwork. So
very good, thanks. Anyone else? Mr. Riggi?
I know sometimes we speak of this under claims, but I'm pleased to see that we have a contract with Mohawk Ambulance to work in concert with Schenectady Fire Department. They both do a great job. They've been doing a great job, and I'm glad we're able to come to an agreement with a company that provides a lot of jobs for the community and pays a lot of taxes in our community. So I think it's a good thing, and they do a good job along with our paramedics. So that's a good way of the 2 working together to provide a great service for our community. So I just want to say that's a good thing, and I'm very happy for it.
Good. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. If not, we will move on then to privilege of the floor related to the legislative agenda. I have 3 people signed up to speak. I'm having trouble with the first name here. Is it Palantowski? Oh, is it Flora? Okay. It didn't look like... Yeah. Your writing looked different on this one. I don't know.
Good evening. My name is Flora Volnowski. I live in the city of Schenectady. I've been following the conversation in regards to the city of Schenectady's options for fixing braking laterals. I can speak on that here. I must say I was quite shocked to hear that particularly senior citizens are foreclosed on.
Miss, I'm going to stop you here. That's not on the agenda tonight, so I would rather you did that in the general privilege of the floor.
I'm not going to be able to fit it in because I have some other things to say.
Okay.
All righty.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Letter to the editor.
All right, or just communicate directly with us two individually. Jason Plank.
Madam President, City Council, Mayor. Last week we had the hearing on introduction for the Community Development Block Grants, and the hearing is going to be taking place in 2 weeks. Some of the things that were commented was that don't touch some of the back of the house money because you guys already voted on it. One of the things is that the City Council needs to remember that the Community Development Block Grant is from July 1st until June 30th. So yes, you can touch the back of the house money right now because all you have to do is take half of that. So the only thing that you've voted on in October was for the last 6 months of this fiscal year. So you can make some changes there. Also, too, is that you increased the affirmative action body to 51,000. Mayor Gajewski is only about 63 to about 64,000 per year, and you times that by 155%. It still brings it less than $100,000 total for her own position. So to increase that by 1,000 is not necessary, and it should be left at $50,000. Half should be paid by us, and then half by the county. The other thing is on the Community Development Block Grant is that in 13 months we will have to have a 5-year consolidated plan put together. This body needs to make sure that we have the public hearings to put together the 5-year plan. 5 years ago, we had major problems with what the council actually voted on and what was actually submitted were two different documents. So we need to be able to work on this 5-year plan. Also, too, is in the Community Development Block Grant, we need to start doing the public hearings on the back of the house. I have said this for the last 5-6 years. We need to be able to do that in October while budgeting is. And then to do a public hearing at the same time when you put the front of the house RFP out on the same day is totally inappropriate because you're not even receiving, I mean, what good is it for the public to even comment for the front of the house when you're putting the RFP out at the same time? So, I mean, these are just some of the things that when you go over the next 2 weeks and you start listening to people when they come for the public hearing, I'm hoping that you can be able to start addressing some of these things. And again, I have to stress is that you only are, what you did for the back of the house was only for 6 months, which was the last half of this fiscal year. So you can make some changes. And I also was a little surprised, but I'm also glad that it didn't affect too much, is that you put the $3 million loan under public services. I still haven't figured out how demolition is considered public services for like roads and so forth. You got $56,000, but also too is that where are you going to happen after 6 years from now when the contract with the county ends with the sales tax? So those are just some of the things that need to be think about. Thanks.
Thank you. David Wilkinson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen. I'll make this very short, very sweet. This briefly concerns the resolution concerning convenience stores. Just a minor little thing. I think the last sentence should be that the clerk shall publish appropriate notice of the matter, not note.
Okay, thank you. All right, I have no one else signed up to speak on the legislative agenda. We'll declare that closed, and I will entertain a motion to approve the legislative agenda. Okay, Mr. Riggi, seconded by Ms. Perazzo. All in favor? Aye. All right. We'll now move to privilege of the floor regarding city business. I have 11 people signed up, and Florma Romanowski, you've got your top on the list.
Start with a bright spot. I'll work up to a crescendo.
Okay.
While watching Channel 9, I heard about the new business Quirky. I was so excited that I immediately called my two inventors, Roland, my son, and my grandson, Gregory. I informed them of the new business and told them, please check it out. Particularly interested because for quite some time, my son and grandson have spent thousands of dollars on their inventions and on lawyers, and their inventions are languishing down in Washington waiting for a patent. And in the meantime, I'm walking through the department stores, and I saw 3 of my son's inventions by big corporations. So you know I didn't buy them. So I would wish people to check out Quirky's. Very exciting. It's the city of thoughts and ideas, and that was a great turnout the other day for the job fair, too. So it's jobs and opportunities for people. Brighter yet, possibly an understatement. As an amateur artist, I love splashes of color, and the more I see the Mexican radio establishment, the more I like it. Sitting at the red light across, I view the burnt orange on top, the mixing of greens and yellows, then yellow down, and then what I thought were windows, they're doors, and it's sort of a cobalt. And then over that is a wonderful design of, I think it's raw iron with lamps. Lovely fixtures. The interior is beautiful. I can't wait to eat there. And again, more jobs for people in another establishment. The brightest moment. Congratulations, Coach Bennett and Dutchman of Union College for a spectacular win in the Frozen Four tournament. There was no doubt in my mind, a week before they even played, I told both my sons they're going to take it because I knew they were really great. And anyone who watched Thursday's game, they must have been on the side of the seat like I was. I mean, a hat trick. Not 2 minutes, but 5-minute penalty they beat. And then at the end, they were down to 4 guys against 6 Bostonians. They took it. Saturdays was just as exciting. Schenectadians could be proud of the way all of you Dutchmen brought honor to the city of Schenectady and to historic Union College by showing teamwork, good sportsmanship, camaraderie, persistence, and overall good, clean play. Again, you brought joy and pride to everyone who watched you play. I'm so happy to hear that there will be a parade in your honor. Finally, tonight begins Passover. For those observing, Good Yom Tif, happy holidays. And for those anticipating Easter, happy Easter, and try not to put all of your eggs in one basket. Good evening.
Thank you. Jason Plank.
Madam President, City Council, Mayor. In 2 weeks, the Board of Assessments for your housing will probably be starting up. I'm asking that all the homeowners that can is to aggrieve your homeowners' assessments. Use the claims committee from the last 2 to 3 years from this City Council to address the issue. Most of the City Council has been approving on a lot of the large developers and contractors. They've been approving anywhere between 25 to 50% reductions, and use those as part of the assessment and aggrieve it. Yes, it's going to take you at least 2 to 3 years in order to get it probably through an Article 78. You know, one of the recommendations is just ask for a 25 to 30% reduction, and that should make it sail through. Again, what that'll do is that'll force the City Council to do the reassessment that it's supposed to be doing. Since the assessment was done during the housing crash, that is the reason why we're up as high as we are on the assessments. And a reassessment needs to be done. And by next year, it'll be 5 years. And you're supposed to be able to, most cities are supposed to do reassessments every 5 years. So we're coming to the point where we should be redoing reassessment no matter what. Also, too, is April is Fair Housing Month. And the Gazette did a report in the middle of March and talking about the state comptroller. And it had listed us as being the 46th worst county in the state of being affordable and accessible housing. And it cited it was due to the high property taxes that we had. And it was also, we were also ranked number 46th worst county for rental apartments. The one-bedroom rental apartment in this city, in this multiple 6-county city is what they based it on, is $744 per month. And most Social Security disability checks are right around about $1,050. The average SSI check's a little less than $800. And you're supposed to only be paying 30% of what your income is on rent. So $744 doesn't leave you very much money. And the SSI is about 18 to 19% below HUD poverty guidelines. And that represents, so that means you're at the way bottom of affordability and accessibility. So we need to start addressing some of the issues on fair housing. Mayor Jasinski, back in 2003, I was one of the founding persons on the Mayor's Task Force on Housing, and we switched over onto accessibility for disabled in 2004. So hopefully we can be able to reconstitute and start addressing some of the issues on affordable and accessible housing within the county. Thanks.
Thank you. Reverend David Heiss.
Give you some stuff to pass. Mayor McCarthy, President King, and all of the City Council. My name is Reverend David Heiss, United Methodist pastor, and this is Reverend Gewin Robert, pastor of the Faith Deliverance Tabernacle, and Reverend Emmanuel Adams, the New Bethel Church of God. We come to you tonight on behalf of many of the different Christian churches in our community. Our hearts have been burdened for the people and the city of Schenectady. We represent a number of local churches concerned for our families, our neighborhoods, and our educational system. We believe Christ is calling us to recognize the unity that we have in Jesus, to pray together, to respond to a call to action. For many years, we've been praying for these issues in several different prayer groups throughout the city and throughout the county. We now believe it is time for all Christians to come together in unity, seeking God's will for us as we pray, as we commit ourselves to this call to action. We invite you to gather with us on Saturday, May 5th, from 5 to 7 at the Mount Pleasant Middle School Auditorium at 1121 Forest Road. If you desire to see unity as we work together for the people of Schenectady, won't you plan to join with us? It's only 2 hours. It can make a big difference as we approach the problems that we've been facing in our community. Remember, May 5th, 5 to 7 p.m. at Mount Pleasant Auditorium.
And we truly thank God for this moment that we have, and because we know that unity is so important in today's life today. We know there's many crises that are out there today, but with unity we believe that we can overcome some of these things that are happening. You know, the economy and things that are waxing, and things seem to be waxing worse, but we know there's a lot of stress that's in the land. But we know with prayer and comfort and some peace of mind that we can work through these issues, and we can really work them together, and with God's help, we are able and believe He's able to do all things, because there's nothing too hard for God. And we pray for each and every one of you, each and every one.
And also, I was just informed that I said the wrong date. It's supposed to be May 3rd. I'm sorry. Any rate, thank you. Please join with us.
Okay, thank you very much. Tony Bonhomme.
Tony Bonhomme, Bellevue. Just two quick things, if I may address the mayor just on two quick things. On Broadway, I know it's not the city's problem, but coming down from Bellevue on Broadway, right where they're doing all that construction there, the building, there's a big slab that they put tar in, but it's sunken in the middle. I mean, you're taking your life in your own hands going over these things. If you can get a hold of the people who are responsible for that, appreciate it. And there's a patch across the street there too. And if we can get something put in the paper about these fires now, it's springtime, open fires, even if they have a net on top of them, or it's still against the law because of the smoke that it has. You know, anybody with emphysema or it smells up the house or anything like that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Marv Isaacs.
Madam President, Mr. Mayor, City Council, I'm here because a couple of weeks ago there was a fire Sunday morning on Dozer Avenue, and I need to commend the firemen. They did a wonderful job. They did a job that is beyond a job. You know, these firemen did so much work there, and I do respect them. We respect them for what they do, and they deserve every penny that they get and more. And I want to thank the mayor, Marion Porterfield, for being there at the fire. And, you know, it was very sad to see that house burn. You know, it's very sad. And without further ado, I need to remind everybody that on April 22nd is Earth Day, and Hamilton Hill is going to be doing cleanup in the park with GE is sending some folks to help us. So on April 22nd, I need to see everybody out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Gerald Plant.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the City Council and ladies and gentlemen. I had to come down here because Saturday I saw this. We see it all over the city. We're at epidemic proportions. It's been going on several years, nothing new. And the last 7 years, in 2007, I went into my graffiti file and I saw that the Gazette had several lead op-ed pieces. Schenectady must deal with graffiti too. Schenectady fight against graffiti must be multifaceted. anti-graffiti law probably couldn't hurt. I think we have one there. Again, in '07, I saw some legislation that we have in the City Council. It has not been enforced at all. And a great way for Schenectady to fight graffiti. So there's 7 years worth of back proposals, ideas, free. You don't have to pay a consultant to clean up the city. Anyways, several years ago, I held the first and only graffiti summit in the city. Since the city did not act on this blight when all of us know it exists, I decided to come up with a wall of shame to prove my point. This year's wall of shame goes to the antique brick round building that sits adjacent to the Schenectady County Community College and also in an historic district. Surprised that the preservationists haven't gotten on that. When Peggy King was working at SCCC, I approached her about this building and how this blight was unacceptable because of the recent multi-million-dollar renovations to the campus along with new housing. I let her know that the graffiti vandals start with a dot, then proceed to take over the whole building, which is what happened. Didn't we predict that? It'll take maybe 4 hours to clean it up, yet it's been there for 4 years. Let's face it, graffiti is trespassing and vandalism of the worst kind. Graffiti didn't just start overnight in Schenectady. Who's noticed the Michigan Avenue exit from I-890 west, where a whole wall of graffiti vandalism has been sitting there for several years? Another main entrance into the city. Drive further west along I-890 under the high bridge, there's more, and this is all underdone in the darkness of night. We're the police, right? We know this is going on. Drive further west along there under the high bridge and also at the exit at SCCC. Then drive along Edison Ave where it meets I-890, and more recently, in the last probably couple years, out of control under the I-890 bridges that face 890. Again, exits and entrance into the city, it does not look good for the city. So, what's to say about our fair city and its leaders and policing protocols? Not much. Once we start cleaning it up, it sends out a message, zero tolerance for this garbage. In a recent scenario, a 45-year-old man from Amsterdam came into Schenectady in the dead of winter at 2 a.m. to spray paint over graffiti to leave his own graffiti. The man was caught and charged with a felony. He wouldn't have driven all the way from Amsterdam under the cover of darkness if Schenectady didn't tolerate this vandalism. It's at epidemic proportions, and thank you to Ms. Parazzo. It's not easy being the only city official to take a stand on this all-important quality of life issue. I feel her frustrations. I, too, was the only one cleaning up graffiti in my neighborhood on the Green and Front Street underpasses at the sidewalk level, again, for where everybody sees. Also, at the same for North Center Street, where new development at the time was taking place in Little Italy section. There are choices.
I need you to summarize.
Yes,
Mr.
I know. Don't please interrupt me. You let everybody else speak over time, okay?
No one else has
okay.
gone over
Well,
time.
this is an issue that's been ongoing, so let me just give you some ideas here. Mayor, there's a friend of yours that works for the City of Albany. These are photos I took when I was walking through the neighborhoods of the City of Albany. Here's the graffiti buster van. Maybe some of the CDB funnies can go. Here's the van, and it's not only that you have to pay a fine, you also have to do community service to clean it up.
Okay, Mr. Plant, thank you very much.
And again, Mayor, here's a business card. The man said he knew you. He's done work for you before, so perhaps it behooves you to let him know that you want your city cleaned up. Okay, this is the first time I've been here before you.
Okay.
Ms. Parazzo, would you mind taking this stuff? And here's some ideas for you to go ahead. Here's the article about the man that came.
All right, Mr. Plant, please, time is up. Thank you. Joy Hall.
Ideas right here for more. There's an artist that we lost from Schenectady that's now a burgeoning art scene cleaning up the streets of the fall.
Joy Hall has the podium.
Well, we want you to do something. This is serious problem.
I hear you, Mr. Plant. Please, this is enough.
Okay. What is your 12 to 20 years proving? The city is filled with blight.
Thank you.
Well, our property is going to clean up blight. I don't want to have to be here again. Clean up the graffiti again. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Hall. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We got a big problem. The cars are passing on the left-hand side on Erie Boulevard, making a left-hand turn onto Broadway. This has got to stop. Somebody's going to get hurt, and it's not a good picture. And we got a lot of potholes down Lower Liberty Street, past Erie Boulevard. And Millard Street is one of the worst streets in Schenectady right now. Nothing has been done yet. They fixed the water break, but they didn't do nothing about all the potholes on Millard Street. Everybody moved the car. I moved my car. A lot of people moved the car and parked it in the lot. waiting for the city to fix it. Yet nothing has been done. So something has to be done before somebody gets hurt with the potholes and everything else going on. It's got to stop. So let's get on the ball and get this thing rolling right. Thank you.
Thank you. The last name looks like Cody. I'm having trouble reading this person's writing. From Albany on crossing signals? Okay. I'm
sorry.
That's okay.
But I come back again because I really would like those cross signals up there on Albany Street and Brandywine Avenue, because that's where my son was murdered. I'm going to put it that way, okay? Because, you know, and I'm not going to stop coming here until something's done. They have the little light bulbs there and things in order to push the buttons for the people to cross, but it has not helped anything. And if they have those there, I don't see what's the problem putting in something a little bit bigger where people will have to come to a full stop. Since I've been here last month, 2 weeks ago, okay, there's been 2 accidents up there on the same corner. Something needs to be done with this, and I'm serious. I will continue coming back here until something's done with it. I'm going to leave you with this little parable that's in the Bible, okay, about the woman who kept coming back until she had justice done. That's an adversity to me, okay? That's my adversary, that corner, because I live up there. Something has to be done with that because it bothers me. You know how it feels for me to walk through my house and know that my son's not coming back? I mean, he lives with me. I walk past his bedroom door, and I'm expecting him to come out of there. I know it's early yet. It's only been a while since he's been gone. But still in all, something needs to be done with that corner so I can feel better, so I'll know nobody else's child will get hurt. And I thank you.
Thank you. And I will point out, we did discuss this in committee last week, and we've got staff looking into it. So. Okay, Sharon Lynn Schmidt.
Good evening, Mayor McCarthy, President King, City Council members. My name is Sharon Lynn Schmidt. I'm the president of the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association. Condolences are in order on the passing of Ray Zanta's brother. The funeral was yesterday or today, Patty? It was today. Ray was a barber in Mount Pleasant, the owner of Ray's Barbershop, and he and his wife Isabella long-term residents of Mount Pleasant. So we just want to acknowledge that. I would like to say that Angelica Morris of the Human Rights Commission has forms if someone does want to nominate a volunteer for their community service. I personally can't claim such praise for work that is supported by dedicated, creative, and very diligent board members who take initiative for projects that improve the neighborhood. I want to recognize Mohammed Hafiz for his dedicated service during his term as president. We work together on most projects, and filling his shoes can be challenging. I would like to tell you that I met with 5 pastors, 5 different churches yesterday regarding our crosswalk coming up, which Mr. Moratorium will kindly announce. The theme there among those pastors, aside from the crosswalk, was that our youth need activities as alternatives to keep them from crime and to get them off the streets. We're talking about a possible stomp-a-thon or dance-a-thon or something that is going to involve them. I can tell you that Deacon Jim Kanicki of the Holy Names Catholic Church had a forum where he invited Mount Pleasant Middle School members, and he discovered that there is a void that needs to be filled there. The girls have Girls' Day out. The boys don't have any such thing. He is looking for men to come forward and be mentors, men who can witness, men who can be a good role model for boys and give them support. Many of these youth live without supportive parents in their homes and actually act as the support to their younger siblings while trying to stay safe among gangs. I want to commend Mayor Gary McCarthy on hosting the recent Mayor's Summit for Strengthening Cities. The 5 mayors' closing statements there had a common theme, that we need to change our attitude from a negative one to a positive one. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. It's time to have a positive voice in Schenectady. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mary McLean.
Good evening. My name is Mary McLean. I live in the city. According to the press reports, some council members are bothered by graffiti in the city, while the litter problem is now an epidemic. I suggest that all of you go take a look on Green Street behind Moret's restaurant. The mayor negotiated the contract with the sanitation workers that allows them to go home after their tour is finished, even if it means they possibly work 6 hours and get paid for 8. I fail to understand how such an arrangement is a plus for the city. Did it ever occur to anyone to give them a rake to clean up the rest of the trash that covers the sidewalks after they finish lifting garbage cans? I was always taught to give an employer 8 hours work for 8 hours pay. As if that isn't bad enough, the mayor rationalizes their work pattern. If a car parked on the city street belonged to the driver's mother, would he run into it? If the car parked on the street belonged to the driver's daughter, would he hit it while making a turn with big equipment on a narrow street? So much for pork and contracts. Regarding the mayor's comment on taxes, he said if everyone paid his or her taxes, the city would reduce taxes by 10%. With all due respect, I disagree. If city officials did not spend so much money, taxes could be reduced by more than 20%. For instance, I was in the committee room on the night the proposal was made for a new service garage on Foster Avenue. The figures didn't make any sense to me. Council approved the project. I was in the committee room when 5 men in business suits showed up for the Siemens Company Save Energy proposal. The company received the 20-year contract, and the windows are now still opened because the faulty radiators make the room too hot. The contract was to correct the problem. $15,169,000 of the city budget goes for employees, hospital, and medical expenses. I pay 100% of my coverage. How much of that sum is employees' contribution? The city spends too much. And 2 great events took place this past week.
Very quickly.
The kids at the Schenectady High entertained the senior citizens. I want to say thank you to them. They always do a wonderful job. And congratulations to Union College. Nice kids, good school, awesome accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank Wilkes.
Yeah, Frank Wilkes, I'm Councilman, Mayor, people in the audience here, citizens. I guess I work at a Union College, so I'm a little bit off message, but I'm delighted with what happened. I'm getting a congratulations message from people around the world I haven't heard from or seen for years, and I have to point out in my 75 years, this is one of the most exciting things that's happened, but I also point out I can't take any credit for it. It's the team that did it. But the reason I'm here tonight is concerning the raid on the grocery stores on Albany Street. And just a context, going back last week, we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the civil rights law of 1964. For 100 years before then, the James Crow laws that are, basically were based on, purpose discrimination, but they were based on the pretense of keeping people safe. And so you had 4 ex-presidents along with the current president down at the Lyndon Johnson Library in Austin, Texas, where I had a chance to go a few years ago, celebrating it, and I think it's really, it deserves all the attention it got. But meanwhile, we got the raid on Albany Street here, 4 stores, and there's a saying that a picture is worth a million words. For a safety inspection, you don't need this battalion of policemen and officers and so on. So this obviously is done for the purpose of making the store owners look bad, and it's bad on the outside. That suggests there's bad people and bad things on the inside. So Saturday I went over and did my own inspection. So I went to each one of those 4 stores. I introduced myself, and at each store I found the workers. Usually the owner was very open, very pleasant, happy except for what happened to them. They all felt victimized. So what I'm suggesting now is I don't think I deserved it. I suggest that the Gazette ought to go over there and go into the stores and do their own inspection. I suggest each one member of the City Council here ought to do the same thing I did, do your own independent inspection. I think I think the mayor is wrong. I don't think his intentions are bad. He might be good intentions, but I think it's counterproductive and really a bad thing for the community to do what he's doing with these stores. They're hardworking people trying to make a living. The families around in there, it's embarrassing for them. It makes them feel like bad people, and they deserve an apology. And I think the mayor ought to consider giving them an apology.
Thank you.
And I have my statement here. I'll hand out to each one of you.
Okay, that's fine. All right, I have no one else signed up for privilege of the floor regarding city business. I'll declare that portion of the meeting closed. We'll go to miscellaneous business of the council. Ms. Perazzo.
Thank you. I also wanted to congratulate the mayor on the Strengthening Cities Conference. I know it was a big effort, and it was, I thought, in a time where we're all trying to think more regionally, I thought it was a great example of that and how 5 mayors can come together and talk about all of the similar problems that municipalities are facing. But what was really great was we got to brag a lot about how awesome Schenectady is and what a renaissance we've been going through and how great downtown is. And I think there were a lot of people very envious of our community and the strides that have been made. So it was a proud day for Schenectady and also a really great conference. I would also like to congratulate our codes department. Under the direction of Mr. Schilling, they really have made substantial strides. There was an article in the paper recently. It was reported in the last 15 months that there were many more successful code enforcement cases. They resulted in landlords coming to full compliance with codes and quality of life issues. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Schilling for his diligence, for increasing the communication with the law department, Mr. Falatico for all of his work in guiding these cases through, and also, obviously better documentation leads to more responsible landlords. We still have a ways to go. But we are moving in a forward direction, which I think is very important. And ultimately, all of this increases the quality of life for our citizens. So that's the real reward. The mayor recently also announced his It Starts With Me recycling campaign. So just a reminder to everyone that recycling aids both the city and our environment, and it takes 2 plastic bins to start recycling. We have some really comprehensive information here at the city. We have free stickers to put on the bins. The stickers explain everything that can go in the bins, and my offer stands. If you're not recycling and you want to start, or if you were recycling and you want to start again, or if you just need to upgrade, I will personally bring stickers to your home. Contact me and I will have them there within a couple of days at most. And finally, I just try to touch on every 6 months or so the 911 AI initiative. I think it's one of those things that it becomes quiet and people forget that we have it, but it's a wonderful, wonderful benefit to our community, and it is free. What 911 AI is, it stands for additional information. It provides dispatchers and first responders with any information that you feel is important to give them, such as medical conditions, room locations of elderly people or children, medication lists, emergency contacts. Many times schools or businesses have multiple buildings and multiple floors. 911 AI technology enables schools and businesses to identify the location of each phone in their system so that they know exactly where the call is coming from and they can get there more quickly. To register, you do need to, it's required registration, but just go to 911ai.com. It's free. It will also alert a caregiver if an elderly person calls 911. They will get a text saying 911 has been called. So it really is a very, very valuable addition to our community. And lastly, yes, we're working on our graffiti initiative again. I think that all of the council members fully support covering and removing graffiti. I don't think I'm the only one by any means. I just think that I kind of coordinated it and was crazy enough to be willing to go to Home Depot every week and keep the paint in my cellar. We're looking for community groups to adopt a week. We're looking for pizza sponsors for $40 or less after kids work for 4 hours. And there are going to be some hot days coming up. We certainly want to make it a positive experience and make sure they have plenty of water and some pizza, some sustenance afterwards. So if anybody's interested in that, they can contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you. A couple things. I also want to add my congratulations to Union College Judgment and to Coach Bennett for that win. I was able to be there when the bus came in yesterday. It was very exciting, and so there were a lot of people to greet them. So congratulations once again. I'd also like to talk about the conference that was here, that was done on Thursday, Strengthening Communities. It was extremely well done, well coordinated, so I congratulate the mayor, Jaime Ferraro from HUD, and everyone who had any part in putting that conference together. I've attended conferences across the United States, federal conferences, but in major venues, and I have to tell you that this conference that was put on in Schenectady was right up there with those, so congratulations on that. And not only was it well organized, the information was there, and I think in addition to talking about how well Schenectady was doing, there was also some opportunities to talk about how we can expand on things and you know, things that maybe we hadn't looked at. So I found it extremely informative, and everyone that I spoke with that went found it as well. And I'd like to also congratulate Sarah Hill from Proctor's on the 3rd annual Gospel Jubilee, which was held this past Friday evening. It was very, very well attended. It was a tribute to the late Artist Kitchen. For those of you that didn't know, he was on the radio, a gospel artist on the radio in the 80s, 70s and 80s. And he always ended his show by saying, be kind to those you meet on your way up, because they may be the same ones you meet on your way down. So for a lot of people who listened to him, you know, he was really a stand-up person in the community. And the person who was the featured artist was Crystal Aiken, who was actually the winner at BET's Sunday's Best. So we had a star here in our city at Proctor's once again. So that was great to see. Sharon Lynn Schmidt talked about Boys' Day Out, and I just want her to know that, and everyone to know that there is an initiative underway to do a Boys' Day Out, because we've been having the Girls' Day Out. So that is being worked on, so if there's anyone who's interested in becoming a part of that, they can contact Ebony Belmar at the Schenectady City School District. She is part of that group that's doing it, and also Wesley Holloway. The gentleman came up and talked a little bit about Albany Street, so I just want to be able to say that the Hamilton Hill Neighborhood Association has been working for the past year with the Albany Street merchants going up and down, working on cleaning up litter, doing a garbage can initiative, which is going very well. And actually, one of the businesses that were visited the other day was one of the first that gave us money to purchase the garbage cans and do this initiative. So we've been working with them because the neighborhood is interested in making sure that we bring back the quality of life in our neighborhood. So there are some positive initiatives that are going on and will continue. And for the last time this year, I will announce that tomorrow is tax day. So if you haven't filed your taxes, you still have a little time. And if you can't get it done in time, you can file an extension, Form 4868, get that in, and then you'll have a little bit of time to file your taxes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Riggi?
Thanks for giving us that deadline, Marion. I got to go home.
Yeah.
I want to thank the Mount Pleasant Neighborhood Association for their support of Maietta Way and also the other people that spoke. I think this past couple of days, everybody's feeling the pride of Union College winning a national championship. I'm lucky enough, I can say, to be old enough where I was able to experience this twice in my lifetime. In 1954, I was 8 years old, but I was there and I was in front of City Hall here with, the crowd was wall to wall. It's a big deal. And it was a big deal then, and it's a big deal now. Anybody that brings national recognition to a city, I think, there's not enough to say about that. So it's a huge positive, and just to think that we're involved in that is just amazing. Here we have a small town, little town of Schenectady, and we've been recognized for these achievements sports-wise. But again, I'll go back to Mike and how much he's meant to the youth of this community. And hear Jeremy Howard speak to him also, it really means a lot because he's impacted a lot of people's lives in Schenectady. And he did true volunteer work, and that's what it's all about. But just putting it all together, like I said, I think it's unique that we have the public hearing tonight and Union won the national championship 2 days ago. It just brings everything full circle. It took 60 years to get back there, and I think that's an amazing thing in itself. But again, this pride that we're all feeling, it happened once before, so that's why I think it's so imperative that we have lasting tributes to people that make these accomplishments happen, because it just doesn't happen. It isn't magic. It's a lot of heart is what goes into this. I could see that Union College team playing. They were playing on heart. That's what it was. You could see that. They weren't going to be beat, and that's the way that 54 team was too. There was 4 guys on that 54 team that were starters as 11-year-olds on the 53 team that lost 1-0 in the final game. They could have won 2 years in a row. It was 1-0. They had a couple runs called back, but that's another story. But there was 4 starters, 11-year-olds on All-Stars, which is unheard of. That's why they knew they were coming back and they were going to win it all in 54. There was no question in Mike's mind or the players' mind why they did that. So it's a huge accomplishment, and I'm really looking forward to August 27th, and this will be a big ceremony for this to happen. Mayor, if you could give us an update. I had some questions asked to me about the demos with the money that we received on the 108 loan. When is the demos going to happen, especially on Broadway? That's the one place I was asked. Our kiosks, I believe we had them since November. When will they be installed? That's the other question. Now, there's also, I know the good weather started, but I had complaints about Burrell Park Saturday night. There was a lot of action going on there again. I think the police showed up, but after they left, the crowd didn't really disperse, and there was a lot of loud music and nonsense going on after hours. So I would like to see that curfew strictly enforced. People shouldn't have to live like that around an area like that. That shouldn't be. So I would really like to see something happen with that. And lastly, for those who observe, tonight's the first night of Passover. So a happy Passover, and this is the most holiest week for Christians coming up. This is Holy Week. I want to wish everybody a good Holy Week and a very happy Easter. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Mudavaren.
Thank you. I would just like to join in with... Only one word.
Yes, I would just like to join in congratulate Union College for a well-deserved win, and hats off to the team member and the coach for a well-deserved victory. And let us celebrate this, and I'm happy that we're having a parade for them this Thursday. Just a few announcements. The Mount Pleasant cleanup day is Saturday, May 3rd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and meeting at the tennis court at Norwood Avenue at 8:30 p.m. Reminder to bring your bottle and can for recycle. This goes to benefit the Emily A. Willie Foundation, a foundation that's serving Schenectady community. This Friday in Mount Pleasant, we're going to be having a Good Friday crosswalk starting at 10 a.m. Begins at the Holy Name of Jesus Church, 1040 Pearl Street, and ends at 12 noon at the Bridge Christian Church, 735 Crane Street in Mount Pleasant. For more information, please contact Sharon Lynn Smith at 393-2116 or Reverend James Bookout at the Bridge Christian Church, 864-5849. I would like to also lend my support for all who came out tonight to talk about the Maietta Way. I think it's a fitting tribute. For the last couple of days, I get to know more about this man, and I think it's well-deserved, and we should all support it. This weekend is Easter. I would like to wish everyone a happy Easter weekend. Please celebrate and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Reed, the demos, we're actually still waiting for the contract to come from HUD. Government sometimes moves in a slow manner. The kiosks, we're ready to install them now that the snow is gone, and that was really just the problem was the winter and the inability to get into the sites in an adequate manner. I want to thank everyone who did participate in the Housing Summit. Again, it was building on our Realtors Day last year, again trying to talk about opportunities that exist within the city of Schenectady and other urban areas, and was able to be joined by 4 of my colleagues in our sister cities in the region. We were able to bring in some national recognized individuals from HUD, some state leaders. Commissioner Towns was here, and again, as Councilmember Perazzo and Porterfield have pointed out, I think it was a very impressive day. Gave us a chance to reflect on some of the good things that we're doing here and evaluate some of the problems that we all face and how that we can work together to solve those. Again, want to congratulate Union College, Coach Bennett and the hockey team for that impressive win. The details still aren't quite in place for the parade or celebration on Thursday, looking from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock is the time frame we've narrowed out, and hopefully those fine points will be put in place tomorrow and be able to do that final announcement so that we can all look forward to participating in that. Again, following colleagues' comments, wish everyone happy and holy Passover and Easter, and everybody enjoy the rest of their evening. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. And I'd just like to add my congratulations to the mayor for the wonderful conference last week, and also a special thank you to both city staff who volunteered to help and community volunteers. Betty Barlin was the chair of the committee. I think everybody just really worked well together, and I think it was just a very, very successful event. And I look forward to the parade on Thursday. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Erickson, seconded by Ms. Perazzo. All in favor? Aye.